Shebang.
Ranks.
Oh, shit.
Why is it always D that gets hot mic? Why is it always got to be Denung Balsero who gets hot mic every single time something goes live? Oh my gosh. Are you good? You sure you're good? You okay over there? You know the counts? 5, 4, 3. Good. That's the way we want to keep it. Keep that muted. We're gonna have it muted for a special edition.
Better late than never.
Of Target Score Brampton. This is episode 13. We are live here wherever you may be watching us, probably on YouTube, I would guess. You can follow us on Target Score Pod on Instagram, Target Score Podcast on this platform, YouTube. New episodes every Wednesday. Coming at you live Tuesday today, though. Constant content on Instagram. And then don't forget to check out. Yeah, run that. Oh, run that back.
Yeah. Run it back like
Give me a shebang. Give me a shebang. Give me.
Yo, DJ Slap, chill.
You can also check out DJ Joey
I can't.
Joey Slattery. It's going to be all day, man. We're at a minute into this. We're going to have all the sound effects in the world coming at you. It's going to be music sessions. Let me see if I can get through this. Check out Target Score Winnipeg with Joey Slattery and Taylor, not Teddy Allen, and Target Score Vancouver with Chris Wiggins and Andrew Savory. D, today's a special episode. We have a guest coming on, the voice of the Ottawa BlackJacks, Elias El-Zein Waterman. He's coming on to help preview the August 6th Eastern Conference semis matchup as Brampton will host Ottawa. We're going to have him join us in just a little bit. He's going to be a live guest on the show here. Boy, what an exciting game that is going to be. One of 4 games played on the 6th, which should, I'm guessing, have some fireworks because this Eastern Conference has heated up a lot.
Yeah, it's crazy how we went from 0 to 100 on these lives, eh? I boycotted it for a good chunk of the latter part of this season, and now this is my 3rd one in 5 days. Listen, the numbers, the engagement, the feedback on the last one, yesterday, went really well, and I'm glad it did because I had to refuel on my electrolytes today after going for 2 hours with you two. But I'm excited to talk past the basketball yesterday and talk about what's ahead with this Thursday game. Obviously, it will be brought up and mentioned because there could be some implications that we still haven't heard about in terms of possible suspensions if anyone's going to be not in that game on Thursday. But when we get that news, we'll bring it up. Who knows, it might break live and we might get a slap bomb from Joey finding out that certain players will be excused from Thursday's game, but in the meantime, we can only talk about what we know about. So I'm excited to finally talk some postseason basketball here.
Yeah, and if you didn't catch the game between Scarborough and Brampton last night, that was the holiday Monday. Your plans went all askew when the two teams got into it. 8 ejections. Key ejections were Miles Powell, Turk Smith, and Frank Mitchell. And then for the Shooting Stars, starter Roddy Peters Jr. was also ejected. And like Dee said, as of 3:23 Eastern time, we do not have on Tuesday, we do not have any updates on suspensions, fines, anything that may be coming. So as of now, we have nothing unless we get a slat bomb here. But Dee, Brampton game.
We should also mention, in case you missed that conversation, it was live, but it is in the archive. So visit the YouTube page and go back on that conversation. And also, if for this one, if you have to hop out for whatever reason, it will live on the interwebs, and you can find it as well. And for anyone that's jumping in now too.
I will say it's really good when someone in this call, specifically you, one of the two of us, listens to these pre-show get-togethers and listens to everything that needs to be said, right? Doesn't it kind of help sometimes when someone listens?
That's why I'm your backcourt teammate, man. Just dropping dimes.
Appreciate it. So obviously the big game for this Brampton team, which again, we are uncertain about who's going to be playing, who won't be playing based on the results from yesterday's suspensions. A lot of talk of potential Sean East in and out of the lineup. Of course, he was initially ejected, but he wasn't after review. And then he was on the bench hanging out. We heard in some speculation about stuff that happened off the court, in the tunnel, this and that. I mean, but we don't know what is true, what isn't true. And that's up to the league and everyone else and their brother to decide. But the other exciting story here, Honey Badgers playing the BlackJacks in the playoffs for the first time since 2022. That was back when they were the Hammer Honey Badgers. They beat Ottawa in the semis before going on to beat the Shooting Stars in the finals. That was that game that ended on the controversial free throws, I believe, which kind of blew up on social media because that was like kind of the first time everybody got a taste of target score time. And it was like, what? Why are we ending the game on free throws? Well, now everybody.
It was so controversial that Drake took it to his story as well.
Yeah, that was a big one. Like that was like the game at the time where everybody's like, what the heck is this league doing? Why do they end like this? But yeah, this is the first time since 2022 that they'll meet in the playoffs, which is kind of shocking. But I guess it kind of makes sense because Brampton had missed the playoffs the last couple of years. Ottawa had been bounced out in the first round 3 years in a row. So they're both trying to kind of look to change the script here. But this is a fully loaded roster for each team, which, again, we were talking about earlier. All these 4 games, there are full rosters now for these teams, which is nice. Like this might be the year where we have the most complete 12-man or whatever you have on your bench and between starters on your roster, which is exciting.
Yeah, that was the biggest thing that stuck out to me looking at the 4 games that these two teams played. Brampton finished the season series 4-0, but it's just so hard if you're making your picks or you're trying to evaluate those this game based on those 4 games. Because for the 2 of those first 4 games happened within the first 3 games of the season for Brampton, right? And so that's a sample size that's really tough to engage because, you know, they're trying to figure each other out. You know, teams are trying to figure out their schemes and their game plans and whatnot. Brampton winning that opener, 91-86 on the road. Sean 25-7, 12 assists in that game. Cam Tyson, who's going to be a big part of this conversation, 24 points, 8 for 16 from 3, 8 rebounds. And we talked about that yesterday, how, you know, the version of Cam Tyson that we saw earlier in this season is not the same version that we have now. So, you know, that's going to play a factor in terms of other guys having to step up in this game. You know, Trenton Flowers obviously being one of them. One name I really want you to keep in mind in this conversation is Moncrief. And, you know, we talked about him not being a part of that game on Saturday because concussion. I don't know if he was eligible on Monday, but obviously if he was, I think the team still didn't want to take their chances and allowed him to rest that game so they could have a healthy version of him, because Moncrief has played a big factor in the games that he's played in this series. You know, I was just crunching the numbers, and for Moncrief, you know, 17-14 this game, 12-10 the second game, 9-9 the third game, and then 5-7. And I mean, the points aren't sexy, but like the rebounding number is the one that's important to me, because this Ottawa team is a big team. They'd like to do a lot of their damage in the paint. And in those first 2 games, there was no Isaiah Moore. Again, there's so much that I can get into, and I don't want to waste it all here before Elias comes here. But I think just going back and looking at all this, it's just, I mean, even Trenton didn't make his debut. He ironically his debut against Ottawa in game 3, right? And there was no Sean East in that game. And then their fourth game, no Sean East, but Trenton obviously still went off. And so this is the first time we're getting these 2 against Ottawa, despite them playing 4 times.
Man, a couple things I love in this world: a nice sunny day, a good drink, and when you crunch numbers. I love when you crunch numbers, man. It makes no sense to me. I know you can't count, but I just love when you crunch numbers. It just gets me going. It gets me all excited.
My dad would be real proud of me because, you know, my math was not good back in the day. So he'd be shocked.
We saw your EQAO scores. We didn't need to see any. We don't need to see anything else.
A lot of South Asians are very, very disappointed in me because I should be better at this.
We don't want to let Smirkio down here. I'm going to throw this comment up just quickly. Who do you guys think gets suspended for both teams? Again, pure speculation, but this does impact the playoffs, like we talked about on the live again, that you can catch on demand on the Target Score Pod YouTube channel. I think it would be pretty easy to figure out anybody who threw a punch probably would be in the running for a suspension, and that would include Turk Smith, Frank Mitchell, Miles Powell, and then I think Roddy Peters, I want to say, and Tegra Eze were involved in the mix too. Yeah,
those 6 are probably the most obvious ones.
Yeah, and then like Akoy Uak got kicked out, so did Charles Bediako, but I don't even know, and same with Justin Hamilton. I don't really know, like we didn't watch the tape well enough to really see exactly who connected with what. All I know is the most obvious one is Frank Mitchell coming across the top with the hammer there. Like I said yesterday, going for 6 man, going for Canadian Player of the Year, and coolest punch. Well, not coolest, that's a terrible way to say it, but biggest punch of the year.
World Heavyweight Championship as well.
Dude, Superman dropped someone. I mean, that was something. Yeah, what was it? SummerSlam, you said happened?
SummerSlam this weekend. Yeah, he's going for the crown.
whatever that
King
is.
of the ring.
Yeah, he might be involved in that. But yeah, so that would be, I think, probably the group of guys that may be up for a suspension. Again, quick reminder, we have no idea who's getting suspended. There hasn't been anything sent by the league yet. Like we said, we took what,
we might
2
run
hours?
this entire live till we get the news, because we want to be the ones to break it.
I wanted to do that, and we're just gonna make Elias wait for like 4 hours here until we get any sniff on Twitter of something. I'm just gonna make something up. I'll create a fake CEBL account, make something up about suspensions going on. Debo Sarah suspended for poor behavior on the Target Score Podcast Network. But again, pure speculation on that one. We don't exactly know what is going to happen. One of the quick ones too that I want to talk about before we bring our special guest in here, D. Just the Western Conference stuff too. Obviously, today we saw that the Winnipeg Sea Bears released a statement saying that Teddy Allen will not be available for their game against the Mamba. That's 2 versus 3 Winnipeg and Saskatoon game on August 6th at 8:30 Eastern time in the Western Conference semifinals. So again, once again, we want to say send our best to Teddy. Hope everything is good on his end, and hope he makes a full recovery, because he is a star in this league. But it's weird because that's the one game where we kind of have a depleted roster that we know of so far, where Winnipeg loses a potential MVP candidate, and a lot of people will tell you that he should win MVP hands down. But it makes it a little more juicier now with Saskatoon and Ribeiro and co, who are trying to kind of play spoiler late in the season here.
It's so shitty, man. Like, Teddy has been such a bright spot this season. For the most part, at least from what we know, he's avoided some of the demons that have been, chasing him throughout his playing career, and he's been playing his best basketball. I think you mentioned last night, like, his numbers are better than his MVP season, and to be completely stripped and robbed of that for the playoffs, and not being able to see what this Winnipeg team would do with him and with Xavier Moon, and that combination finally coming together. Like, it's just really crappy for Winnipeg fans, but overall, just as a CBL fan, you hate to see it, because, when it comes to postseason time, you kind of want to see the best versions of all these teams. And now that team is extremely compromised and won't be the version that we've seen all season.
And like Stat Guy Ty points out here, Emmanuel Acott also left. If you were late on that news, he went to or he was pursuing, I think he was released to pursue overseas opportunities, which is standard in the CEBL this late in the season. As August approaches, players have to fulfill their contract obligations elsewhere. And then, as Stat Guy Ty also says, Ben Stevens signed to fill in. But the thing is that's tough about it is, whether you're a Winnipeg fan or not, you want the best product on the floor at any time. It doesn't really matter who you cheer for. You want, as a fan of Canadian basketball and a fan of the CEBL, to have the best players on the floor. And that applies to this Ottawa or this Brampton and Scarborough stuff yesterday too, right? Like, you want these guys playing in the first round. The league wants these guys playing in the first round. The problem is you've come to a fork in the road now where it's like morals or product. And the tough part is, if the league was 100 years old and it had the biggest following in the world, then it's an easy decision. I mean, you suspend guys who need to be suspended. I'm not saying, again, that the league is thinking this, but from a fan standpoint, you're in a tough spot now where it's like, flip the coin and you just hope to God it never lands kind of thing, which is tough. I mean, for Vancouver, at least, Mitch Creek back. So there's an addition, a big addition. And again, another example of this league kind of having a year in season 8 that you have strong rosters heading into the playoffs, which will work very well for them, I think, right?
Let's hope so. I mean, you can only hope for it, but yeah, again, it puts a pit in my stomach. It's just tough. You're robbed Teddy. And the other thing is, like, you've now jeopardized whatever he's going to do post the CBL as well, right? His overseas opportunities, because of the surgery that is ensuing for him after this incident. So it's just like, not even just like selfishly on a basketball front, but just from, a human being standpoint, it's really, really crappy. And obviously our thoughts and prayers are with him during this time.
Like you said, send our best out west to Teddy. And how about we bring in our best, D? How about we welcome in our special guest, Elias El-Zein Waterman, to the show? There he is. Elias, what's going on?
Down!
How's it going, guys? Thanks for having me.
Did you like that? Did you get that reference there? Elias El-Zein Waterman?
Waterman? What is, because Zane Waterman?
Zane Waterman? Yeah, okay. Well, I'll have to work on that. All right, we're going to fire the creativity guy over here. Well, it's what happens. Joey put a gun to my head last night in this room, and now he's got a creativity guy over here that's trying to tell me names to say. You're good to leave.
You know, Zane Waterman's a sensitive subject for us over here. Okay.
Yeah, I know in a lot of organizations. Yeah, I get that. I'm privy to that information. But Elias, thanks for joining us. Of course, Elias, the play-by-play voice of the Ottawa BlackJacks. Did you catch the game yesterday? Just off the top, I want to get your quick shot.
Buddy,
quick thoughts.
I was tuned in. I was actually, D's gonna like this. I was building a Lego and watching the game.
Oh, my guy. Okay.
Throw myself out. You guys have a good night.
Yeah.
I was watching it. And then it got chippy, just like the last game between Scarborough and Ottawa. You know, there's a history there. The two teams don't like each other, and it's getting closer to the playoffs. You expect that, you know, tensions are a bit higher intensity. You like that as a fan and as a player, but the camera went off, and then Rod Black was saying, "Oh, now we have something," and then the camera went back, and then you just see everyone getting into it, and then the punches start flying, and yeah, man, it was bad. And now we're just waiting, like you guys were just talking about it. Is anyone going to get suspended? What's going to happen? And obviously it affects the postseason, right? If there was still some regular season and guys get hit with a game or two, then you still have your best players going into the playoffs. But now it's a big question mark for the league, and I don't think they've seen something like this in their history. I know there's been a couple of things in the past, but something to this magnitude, I don't think so. Because even in that the two last games between Scarborough and Ottawa, it almost got to that, but nothing actually happened. Like the last game in Scarborough, there were guys that were getting into each other's faces, but no actual swinging and punches being thrown. And then there was an incident with like a fan in Ottawa, and security had to get involved and things like that, but no punches. And hopefully this is a one and done kind of thing, but we'll see what the league has to say. I'm like you guys, still waiting for that notification or someone to say something, and we see what happens. But obviously not a good look.
Yeah, that's one of the weird parts. I mean, you mentioned that game Scarborough and Ottawa too. I was doing that game in Scarborough, the first of the two games, where it was like, as soon as that happened, as you see some footage here from last night, if you missed it, it's about to hit right here, 42.6, my favorite number in the world now. That's the time left on the clock. But that game, it was almost like you could feel the tension, and you almost felt like something was going to happen. And then when it did, it was like, oh my gosh, the next game in Ottawa that happened a couple days later, I'm like, something is going to hit the fan here. And I don't know who it is. It might be and then it's just predictable. Like, you knew that was going to happen. And then of course, so this was one of the things that I was so curious about. We saw Bobby get removed from the
Bobbygate.
Like Bobbygate, man. Like, we're watching this, and Joey D and I are watching, and I'm like, we're saying, oh my gosh, was that like the in-arena host that got kicked out there or removed, or what's going on? And he's into it. He's dapping people up. People are chanting Bobby. Like, did you talk to him after the game? That way, like,
a little bit. And I heard like different stories from different people who were literally right there. One of my agent friends was in the building, and he told me what he saw from his angle. And then I heard from different perspectives. But Bobby's I don't know if you guys know him, but he's very hype, right? He gets the crowd involved. And already at that point, there was like 5 or 6 techs in this game. There was 2 unsportsmanlike fouls. So it was building. Ottawa was down. They go on a quick like 6-0 or 8-0 run. There was a couple of dunks. And I was told by someone in that corner that he looked at the Scarborough bench and the players and the coaches. And he said, like, you like that, or like that must have hurt, something like that. And so that's what I was told. Now, I don't know if this is exactly what he said, but that's what I was told. And then they didn't like that. They're like, back off. And then the guys were in that area, and that's when, they came face to face, and security like ran on the court. There was supposed to be a timeout. The Ottawa players got back on the court. They split them up, and there was a bit of a delay in the game. And then he was removed to the back.
If I can speak to this, I was at championship weekend in Ottawa, and that was my first introduction to Bobby. And I'm familiar with the in-game host arena, so I felt an obligation to sort of introduce myself. And the guy's different, and I don't mean that in a bad way. Like, his energy is very contagious.
Infectious?
And infectious, contagious. Like he's very like he bleeds Ottawa BlackJacks, and you can tell that the fans really they love him for that. And so you saying that doesn't surprise me. And again, I don't mean that in a negative way, but he's just so passionate about that team. He bleeds it, and he has Ottawa BlackJacks on his sleeve. You can really tell it. So it doesn't surprise me. And so when we were watching live, I'm like, it's the in-game host, and like I said, I wouldn't put it past him to have said something, and whether it's right or wrong, I mean, for the public to decide. But I know in real time, Matt, like it absolutely fired us up.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, I don't even want to buy an Alex Fudge jersey anymore. I want to buy a Bobby jersey, and I'll take 4 of them. Like that was the kind of vibe where I'm like, man, this is like, it's fun to watch, man. Again, we talked about this, Elias, last night too, where it's like, it's obviously bad for the league and you don't want that image, but it's fun to watch. Like it's fun as a fan to sit back and be like, man, there's something on the line here, much more than just a score in a game, which again is it's entertainment factor, right? And people love that. But one of the things that, of course, we brought you on here for, and that we needed you for, was to preview this game between Brampton and Ottawa that is going to be played on Thursday night, August 6th. It was an interesting season series. Brampton took it 4-0. But again, like we said, with the summer league going on, with injuries, with players going for NBA workouts or whatever it may be, contract stuff overseas, we never really got the full complete rosters for both of these teams when they went head to head. So not to take away from the 4 wins that Brampton got, but this Thursday matchup, to you, Elias, is this the most complete roster that you've seen for Ottawa so far this season?
100%, definitely. And I think even on the Brampton side, because even if there are suspensions, I don't think it affects any of their top players, right? All the guys that were ejected. I know they're obviously important rotational players, but if we look at the Scarborough side, that's like really star players that might get suspended. But yeah, Ottawa, I think they're playing well. Obviously, they had to win that last game. They were on a bit of a losing streak, but Javonte Smart, I don't know if I've seen him play this well. Like he played really well last year, but as the season has gone on, and obviously player of the month in the Eastern Conference, he's taken his game to another level. And I think when they moved Cleveland to the bench, when he went to the summer league and came back and they started bringing Cleveland off the bench, it's really opened up the floor for Javonte, finding his teammates, getting easier buckets. You see, they stagger their minutes. They'll play them together a little bit, but really it's either one or the other most of the time. And I think, yeah, it's the most complete team. I think they're playing at a high level. You're getting stuff from your rotational guys. I think Kobe Elvis has taken a step forward. His shooting has been really well. I think Harmon going back to the bench, and I've had a lot of conversations with him. He's good in either role. I think Fudge excels starting the game rather than coming off the bench, and him and Moore have worked out. At first, I thought maybe that won't work out because none of them really could stretch the floor and hit the three consistently, but they found a way to do it. And obviously they're huge lob threats. I think you guys would agree that Ottawa is maybe the most athletic team in this league, with guys like Fudge and Moore and Harmon. Like they could really get to the paint. I think Cleveland coast to coast. Yeah, I think it's the most complete team, but I think Brampton too. I think all games were close. All of them were decided by 7 or less. I think we're going to be in for a really good treat on Thursday.
I usually set the line for you to say holy fudge at like 3.5 per game and usually hit the over. So no, Fudge has been really, really exciting this year.
Yeah,
and,
man. You know, that shirt was made because of me. I'm the one that started it in training camp. Yeah.
Are they cutting you? They better be cutting you checks. You better be getting royalties on that, my guy.
I've told them many times, I'm like, where is my check? Because when I met Fudge at Media Day, and I had looked him up before, I know he had played in the NBA. And I told him, and I was talking to him and Harmon on Media Day, and I told him, like, when you lob it up to him or when you get a block, I'm going to say, get the Fudge out of here. And he was rocking. He loved it. And then slowly throughout the season, got a couple in there on the broadcast. And then they started making shirts when his parents were in town, and they held them and they're selling them now. And I'm like, man, I'm not seeing those dollar signs in my bank account.
Well, like it's such a unique promo now because, like you said, when Ottawa's on the road, they talk about the t-shirts as well. So it's not even just an Ottawa thing. It's like league wide. Like people want to get their hands on this. But, you know, I'm glad you mentioned Cleveland and Smart, because in doing my homework here, and, you know, I teased about crunching the numbers, you know, Smart averaged 23 points in this series, which is about his league average of 24. But as you mentioned, like, it's just kind of been the tail end in the second half of the season that Smart has really been getting going. And like, ironically enough, as soon as summer league started is when he really started to go off. So I don't know if that was like personal for him because he wanted to be there. But, you know, Smart's obviously the biggest concern. Like, you know, he's going to get his numbers, but Cleveland is the one that's interesting to me because, you know, he played in 2 out of the 4 games for Ottawa against Brampton in the series. And in those games, he averaged 21 points and 7 rebounds per game. And so that's interesting to me because you've already talked about it. Like, now he's coming off the bench. Like, you know, is he still going to be as effective coming off the bench? Do they finish with him in games? And then, like, we haven't even talked about the Isaiah Moore part of this where, you know, he didn't play in the first 2 games, but he played in the last 2. And typically he doesn't play well against Brampton. He's only averaged 9.6 points per game and 5.3 rebounds per game, and with 4 fouls, which is something you have to watch out for as well. And I think you can agree with me. I've been saying to Matt and Joey, like, I feel like Ottawa's worst enemy is themselves. Like, I feel like they're the ones that usually take themselves out of games.
100%. And I was on with Joey on Friday to tee up the Winnipeg game, and I said that towards the end of the games is where they just beat themselves. Bad turnovers, bad passes that go out of bounds. A couple of times you have guys slip and fall, like we saw Smart do it. I've seen Fudge do it a couple of times. He did it, I think it was against Winnipeg, maybe 2. I'm not sure, but slip and fall, the ball gets turned over and they just rush shots. We see it a lot in this league. When you get in target time, guys just get happy and want to shoot as many threes. I don't know why. Just get to the rim or get to the free throw line, get an easy bucket, and then, you know, make it as close as like to the 9 points as possible. But yeah, they're their biggest enemy. They're very talented. I've said this all year. I think they're better than what their record shows, but they've just a lot of times beaten themselves. Niagara, to a week and a half ago, like one of the last games of the season, they were up by 27. They lose that game. Same thing with Montreal. They had a great start. They lose that game. So there are a lot of games that were close and they had leads and they lost twice to the Mamba. They were up by 7 in Target and then they lose those 2 games. But yeah, I agree with your statement, D. I don't think you're off the mark there.
No, and as a fan, like, it's been frustrating because how many times, Matt, have we crowned Ottawa as the best team in the league? Like, 3 weeks into the season. I said we. Okay. But after they beat Scarborough, right? We were pretty certain that this was the team to beat.
Timeout. Where's Joey? Timeout. Number 1, Joey and I said that.
Go back. Go back in the records. I said it earlier in the season.
I don't believe that to be true.
There we go. Comes out of nowhere. Freaking Undertaker over here.
Thanks, I'm all about integrity and transparency here, D. I had to come in out of my producer role. I even turned my light off to come in.
I'll find you the proof. I'll find you the proof.
Run the tape. Thank you, Joey. But I think just to kind of round out that conversation on the team itself, having 5 guys that score double-digit points a game is, I mean, you may balk at that and think, well, every team has that. Well, Ottawa is probably only one of the teams that actually has that in terms of consistency. Like, guys will show up and drop 10, 15, 20 points a game. And I think you also hit the nail on the head there too, of like, they've taken themselves out of games. It's not like they're losing to and again, this is going to sound crazy, but it's not like they're losing to the other team. It's almost like they lose to themselves sometimes, which happens in sports. I mean, teams scuffle, whatever, and self-inflicted wounds and unforced errors kind of thing. But the one thing that's remained constant when you talk to people about Ottawa are the two terms, athleticism and depth. And everybody we have talked to, D, like everybody that D and I have talked to about who you want to play in the playoffs or who you don't want to see in the first round, Ottawa keeps coming up. It's like, we do not want to play Ottawa because they're skilled, but they're also athletes. And you could say every basketball player in this league is an athlete. Like, everybody's an exceptional athlete. But Ottawa, like Fudge, for example, dude, Fudge could jump out of the gym. And if you said you had him coming off the bench, then that is even crazier that he wouldn't be not. But now if he's coming, obviously, if he's starting the game, then you even get more Alex Fudge. which is even scarier for teams heading in, especially in the first round too. Again, this comment right here from Andrew, shame we're not getting Ottawa Scarborough first round game. You know who I can tell you who's really happy that they don't have to see Ottawa is probably Scarborough right now.
For sure.
Yeah.
And Ottawa's the only team that gave them that home loss, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. And that's, I think like we pointed out yesterday too, Miles Powell didn't play in both of those losses to Ottawa either.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's what would have made this even more interesting. Like they could potentially face him. I mean, again, who knows what is going to happen with these suspensions, but let's just say Miles Powell gets pieced for 2 games and then Ottawa beats Brampton and then you don't have to play him again. And then it's like another one of those situations, well, big what if, but the depth of this team seems to be almost a super strength for Ottawa. But the one thing that I think D and I are super excited to watch, and D and I will be on the call on Thursday with Deshaun Stevens and the CAA Center in Brampton, is the play of the guards. Sean East and Javante Smart going head to head. You have 2 of the league's best scorers, 2 guys that can control a game, take over in target time, or even before, guys that are capable of dropping 30 plus points at any time. What about that matchup kind of excites you, Elias, and what can we kind of expect from Javante?
I think both of them scorers, but one thing that you didn't mention about both of them, both extremely well at passing the ball and finding their teammates all around. They both are up there in assists per game in this league. And I think the one thing about Javante is how the game is just so slow for him. Like how he gets to his spots. A lot of times when he gets into the paint, it looks like he's maybe taking an extra step, but it just the way he times his gather and his steps to get to the rim and find his teammates. And sometimes some passes, I'm like, I don't even know how he saw his teammate there. And he gets him the ball right in the pocket, like right there to just get it, go up and shoot. I think that's the most underrated part of Javante is he is a willing passer. It's not that he's passing because he's doubled. He wants to get his guys involved and he just wants to do whatever he can to win. Such a humble dude, doesn't talk much, but when you talk to him, he's so open and candid with his responses, very approachable. And yeah, man, just one of the like best talents we've seen in this league. And I think it's going to be a fun matchup between them. I know they played each other in the G League as well. So this is nothing new to both of them. I think Sean East, the way he can shoot the ball and also get to the rim and find his teammates, and him being a lefty, I think is an advantage for him, right? Southpaw. I'm just excited, man. I just wish it was Thursday tonight.
I'm curious, a week ago, if somebody had told you it's going to be Niagara, Scarborough, or Brampton, how do you think you would have ranked who you wanted to see or who you didn't want to see?
For Ottawa, I think obviously it wasn't going to happen, but I thought like if they played Niagara, that would be their best shot. They've matched up well against them this season. They beat them, I think, 3 times. They could have beaten them 4, but they blew that 27-point lead, which is Niagara's had their number, man, like every single time. I think that would have been the best matchup. Brampton, they've been close. I think it's 7 points or less in each game. Scarborough would have been obviously the most exciting, but that's obviously a team you don't want to see in the first round. They're extremely deep and just very talented on both ends of the floor, right? Off the bench, and their starters are just so good. I think that's how I would have ranked them.
I asked you that question because I've talked to some folks in Ottawa and they've told me that they actually would have preferred to see Scarborough over Brampton. And I think it's just because mentally, you know, Ottawa has the edge that for the fact that they can say that they've beaten them once at home. So that's why I was asking you.
Yeah, I mean, I see that, and they've beaten them twice, like once in Ottawa, once in Scarborough.
Correct.
But man, the firepower, like Powell, in the one game that they won, one of them was a blow. One of them was close in Ottawa. But I think Johnson's shooting is, I kind of want to say underrated when it isn't, but he can get any shot off the dribble. If he's open and they get it to him, creating, sidestepping, step backs, he is so good of a shooter. I think it just goes under the rug because they're so talented. Having Frank Mitchell come off your bench, I don't think it's a team that anyone wants to see in the first round. Despite Ottawa beating them twice, I think you want to see them as late as possible in the postseason.
Yeah, Javen Johnson has been unreal for Scarborough. I mean, we were talking to Joe Rasso the other day, D and I, when we did the game in Brampton, and he kept saying, Javen Johnson, it's my player to watch tonight. It's my player to watch tonight. He's my player. And even if he doesn't score, you still feel his presence on the court, which is the sign of obviously an all-around good player and a good teammate too. And he just seems like a nice dude too. Obviously somebody who we're we're excited to watch throughout the playoffs. And that's kind of the wild card thing too, right? Like now that this happened yesterday, it almost makes everything even more interesting where it's like you don't even know what to expect now. Like you could get a depleted Scarborough team, you could get a full Scarborough team, you could get a depleted Brampton team, you could get a full Brampton team, but it almost makes you want to tune in more now where it's like you have a fully loaded Ottawa team coming in and you don't know who you're playing. And I think, D, you maybe mentioned this or Joey yesterday. It almost makes your game planning a little harder because if you know the Stars are playing, you know what the game plan is going to be. Like Tyrell Vernon said to us the other day against Brampton, make Sean East hit the tough mid-range shots, make Trenton Flowers hit the tough mid-range shots. And they struggled to do that in the first half. They did a good job and ultimately came out with a double-digit point win. But it almost makes the prep like 10 times harder in a weird way.
Also, like I hate to make this pun, but like we haven't given his flowers, his Trenton. Like he made his debut against Ottawa, and he scored 22 points, had 6 rebounds, and then he scored 31 in Ottawa as well. And that's like that's a major X factor that hasn't even been mentioned in this conversation as well.
Yeah, and I think he's so good. Like him with East, Tyson. If Moncrief is going to be available, hopefully he is. You want to see the best on the best, right? I think Brampton is a really good team, and I don't think Ottawa's going to take them lightly, whether there are suspensions or not. And this is a team that you can't look over if you're Ottawa. And I think Brampton is going to do the same. I think there's going to be respect. I think there's mutual respect between them, and man, it's just going to be a very, very exciting game. I think the only one that benefits here is probably Niagara with what they're going to in Scarborough, with possibly what's going to happen to the Shooting Stars, right? And I think Niagara kind of matches up better compared to Scarborough than the 2 other teams, to be honest. I think they played them well this year. They've beaten them as well. So I think Niagara, and when you have a guy like Khalil Ahmad who can just go off and carry you and has done it and has won a championship 2 in this league, you obviously have to like your chances.
Okay, Elias, you've been around this team for years now. You know the organization inside and out. 2022 was their best finish in the CEBL. That was when they lost the semifinals. That was the furthest they went. It's 3 straight years of losing in the semifinals. Since then, 2023 to 2025, they've lost in the quarterfinals every year. What about this team this year do you think will allow them to go further than the quarterfinals?
The depth. I think having Cleveland come off the bench, Harmon, Dubinsky is solid, man. Defensively, he'll hit those timely shots. Roller comes in sometimes. He'll play, 10 minutes. Sometimes he'll play 4 minutes, but he comes in and he's effective. He'll block shots. He'll rebound. He'll get you those little buckets around the rim. I think Justin Njektajore, same thing. Very athletic guy off the bench, could defend, flies in. The depth is the difference. And then obviously I think Smart is playing his best basketball that I've ever seen him play in a BlackJacks uniform. He's on an extreme high right now. Even during the losing streak, his numbers were great. Yes, they lost, but I think if Javante gets into it, he gets his guys involved early, more Fudge gets some paint buckets, Ottawa should be in good shape.
Yeah, the one thing too about Javante Smart too, and D, I don't know if you and I talked about the voting for awards at the end of the season, and Elias, you may feel differently about this, but we talked about like Teddy Allen, Miles Powell, Sean East, like those names kept coming up, and then I was like looking at the stats yesterday, and I'm like, Javante Smart is, like, I mean, he could be right up there if it weren't for, I mean, some pretty good performances from a couple, like, yeah, like he could be the guy. Like you could easily convince viewers or people within the league that Javante Smart could be the MVP this year.
I think
year
it's
the guards are loaded.
The record, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I was just going to say, like, this year the guards are loaded, right? Like, I think if East and Powell and all these guys weren't so great, Javante would certainly make a case for first team. But it's just been insane. It's kind of been overshadowed. And like you said, Elias, a lot of it's because of his record.
Yeah, the record, I think 10-14. To be MVP in any league, even when you're debating the NBA with friends, it's like, okay, but what's the team doing? Is it translating to winning? Not saying that it doesn't translate to winning. Obviously, there's a lot of things that go on, and the target time, and teams make comebacks. But I think 10-14, you have guys like Teddy Allen, a winning record. Miles Powell, obviously 20-4. You can't overlook his numbers, and then the team's numbers, right? So those guys are obviously going to get the edge, and they deserve it. But Javante, I think, is in the conversation as well.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, I'm super excited to watch him on Thursday at least, because D and I have said this all year too. Like, Brampton gets the best shot from every team that they play. It seems like whoever plays Brampton, you get their A game that night. And head coach Alex Serta told us that too. Like, we don't act like we have a target on our back because we don't want that attention, but we understand that teams come in here and we'll say to we'll preach before the game that we need to come out firing and play our best basketball of the season. When Brampton, let's say, was 7-1 at one point, like, people knew like this was the team to watch. And then you start getting these games where it's like you have 3 games in 6 days or something. You're getting the best of the best, and then you beat your team down a little, right? It's hard to kind of be consistent for that long of a season. And that's why you do applaud Scarborough, right? I mean, that is crazy that they set the new CBL record with 20 wins. But it's almost funny how the parity in this league is because of the changes in the roster and all this stuff. And now, again, it's super exciting to think that you're going to have basically 10 out of 10, hopefully for Brampton at least as well, but 10 out of 10 for Ottawa, and you kind of get the best of the best. What about the feel around the team now? Like, obviously, Justin Mazzulla, these are 2 teams that have 2 first-year head coaches in this position. Has Mazzulla been vocal at all? Has he tipped you off about how excited they are for the playoffs, or kind of what their approach is, or has he kind of been quiet?
Yeah, mix of both. Like, he's very exactly like people know his brother, right? And how he is with the media. Same thing. Even when I'm talking to him, like, not like as a media member, I'm like, man, just chill out, relax. It's okay. We can just have a conversation. And he's always like, and I get it. He's a young guy. He's trying to obviously make a name for himself. He's just like a video coordinator with the Utah Jazz. Alex Serta is actually an assistant, right, in the G League with the Lakers organization. So it's a bit of a different role, and we've had conversations, but he's always preaching togetherness and the way they want to play. And I've heard that from a lot of guys as well. Even when they went on a losing streak at the beginning of the year, the locker room was never lost, whether it was like players amongst each other or with the coaching staff. There was never no disconnect. So I know they're excited. I know they want to be in the postseason. I think they deserve to be in the postseason. And I think we're probably going to get the best of how they look. Like, for sure, he's going to have them ready. They watch a lot of film, and they'll be good to go. And that was their goal. They got there. Now it's 0-0. It's not 10-14 anymore. Everyone's 0-0, and you try to get to the 4 wins, and you win the championship, right? So first one of 4.
I think I could speak on behalf of the sideline reporting fraternity that there is a short list of head coaches that give you anxiety at halftime when you have to speak with them. And unfortunately, Mazzulla is on there. But I will say, every experience I personally had, I've been really fortunate great. That he's given me a well thought, thorough responses. But I know some people have kind of been on the crappier end of that, and he's been very short with them. But he always comes to me. I give him the fist pump. He pounds it, and then he answers my questions, and he gives, like I said, he gives me real intelligent answers. So shout out to him. It's been interesting to see how he's sort of evolved as a head coach, and like, I'm super curious. And I mean, if he'll talk to us prior to Thursday, I'd love to know, what has been the biggest thing for him to have had to adjust to as a head coach in this league with all the the ebbs and flows that it presents.
If you get there early enough, he might be closer to game time. He doesn't. So I notice when I get there early enough to the arena, he's more open and he's okay. And I tell him before I practice, hey, we're going to have a chat on game day. Sometimes depending on what's going on, like one time he's like, can't do it today. Like, and there was something going on with the roster. So I get it. There was a last minute injury and one guy couldn't play anymore. So they had to deal with things. But otherwise, like, I'll go into the coach's room and we'll sit there and we'll talk. Sometimes they'll comment on my bow tie, and then, we just chit chat, talk about food, and then we'll talk about the game. So, and I've been on that receiving end too, post game, when I'll try to talk to him and he's just give me one word answer, or that's it. And I'm like, why didn't this guy play, or was there any minute? Like, why was he kind of not getting a lot? Well, he's like, well, he didn't play today. We're supporting him. He's going through something. And that's the end of the answer. Right. So I've been on both ends, but very approachable. You can talk to him. My advice is get there just a bit earlier than you usually do. You might be lucky to get a pregame chat.
I might hit you up and ask you to ask him what his favorite bottle of wine is, and maybe he'll show up with a gift.
He just bottles you. Just pours it out and bottles you right away.
Is he into jiu-jitsu like his brother? Like, does he fight?
I don't know. I've never asked him that.
Don't ask.
But he's
he's
in pretty good shape. Like he'll practice with the guys. Like I've been there.
I've seen it too.
He's on the court. Yeah, so he's on the court and
he gets
he gets involved with guys. But yeah, very nice guy. I've had great experiences. I know the whole Missoula thing and his brother and all that, but I've never had any issue with him. One time I made a comment as he was walking away, and then he chased me down after the game when I was leaving. We had a chat, and he's been great. Like he'll ask me for my opinion. We've had long conversations. Good guy, great guy. Can't say enough about him. And he's joined me on my podcast as well. One of the guys that actually showed up early, like when we had usually our guests show up right on time or late, but he was early, so that was a good sign.
Stack Guy Ty with a great comment here. Does Justin Missoula fight? Well, maybe if they play Scarborough, we can find out. That's a wild card. Speaking of
great
wild
stat.
card, yeah, that is a good stat. Yeah. The one wild card player that has kind of crossed our minds a couple times this season. He started out west with Jordan Baker this year after playing last year with Ottawa. Was Isaiah Moore.
Mm-hmm.
He's come back into himself almost here. 11 games with Ottawa after making the move back to the nation's capital. And he started all 11 of those games, averaging 17 points per game. He's one of those guys that we've seen in the past. I don't want to say it's attitude, but he has this fiery competition or fiery kind of drive in him where it's like, if he's on, he's on. If he gets disrupted or something ticks him off, it's like a total different, like it's almost like he's playing to just run the offense no matter what happens score wise. And he just wants to make sure kind of he's playing his game. And I mean, there's nothing really wrong with that, but when you're trying to win games, it can get in the way every now and then, which I'm sure you've seen in Ottawa before. But how much of a factor is he in this playoff run, and how have you kind of seen him buy in since he returned to the team this year?
I think this might be his best year. You know what I mean? Around the team, just in general. I've heard that too. I've had many conversations with Isaiah. He's always been nice and candid with me as well. But I've heard that, his personality and things like that. But he's doing the things. And sometimes his body language maybe isn't the greatest on the court if he doesn't get a call, or maybe he's slow to get back defensively. But we know he's a force. He rebounds the ball extremely well. He could score. He stretched it out a little bit now with his three-point shooting. But if he's on, then it's a big, big benefit to Ottawa, because everyone else can just rally around that if you have him. But also if he's off, it could maybe affect your team in a negative way. But I haven't seen that much with him. I think he has a good relationship with the coaching staff. He has obviously a good relationship with the GM and Jimmy the Ruin. So I think that's a reason why he came back last year. Maybe not the greatest when I was around with the coaching. It was a very different philosophy, you could say. So I think this year has been a positive for him. And I think you've seen that with his play. Obviously, he gets animated. Sometimes he will, get an unsportsmanlike call or maybe a tech. But I think that's could be for everyone when the emotions get a bit high. But for sure, definitely an X factor. But this is a guy who could easily give you 20 and 10 on any given night.
I would almost want him to be fired up and into the game, because that Scarborough game, when Bobby got the old boot on the baseline, Moore had 9 dunks in that game within the first 7 minutes or something. Like, he was snapping, and then he was into it. He's fired up, and Frank the Tank's doing the big shoulder shrug here, and then Isaiah's doing the shoulder. So it's kind of like, it's almost like he feeds off of it. Kind of gives me that Teddy Allen vibe from a couple of years ago, when it's like, if he's feeling it, he's feeling it, and he's going to do whatever he kind of wants to do. And in a lot of ways that works in your favor, but the passion is definitely there. D, you have the final question for Elias.
I was going to say air traffic control is going to be working overtime this game between Fudge, Flowers, and Moore. Those guys really know how to put it down, and those are the guys you want to see getting lobs. So Matt, I hope you're prepared for all your flying puns for this game, because it certainly will be a lot of fun for you on the call. But yeah, just to sort of wrap things up here, Elias, we wake up Friday morning, all right, and we find out Brampton wins, we find out Ottawa wins. You've talked about the paint touches, you've talked about the depth of the bench, but ultimately, what do you think will be the difference in this game for either of these teams to win?
For Ottawa, I think rebounding and defending the three-point line. I think Tyson's been a killer. He was off against Scarborough, but if that guy's on from three-point range, good night. He is so good. Almost like him and Javen Johnson from Scarborough, I think, man, are some of the two best pure shooters in this league. So I think defending the 3-point line, rebounding for Ottawa, keeping them to one possession. And I think it's the other way. I think if Brampton can get their 3-point shooting going early, keeping Ottawa to one stops, I think if they can put, you guys will know this better, but maybe Flowers could get the assignment defensively on Smart. I don't want to say he struggles with anyone, but when Uwat defends him, when he's the primary defender on Smart, I think that's given him the most trouble, like that length. Because Smart with the ball in his hands is like a yo-yo, really good at that crossover. But when there's that length and Uwat is long, and Flowers, I think, is another guy that can give him some problems. So that's a matchup I want to know if head coach Alex Serta is going to go to defensively. Because I feel like
I think you're right.
Smart's going to get his points, but I think its length gives him a bit of trouble to get to his spots.
Yeah, and you can always see that Flowers kind of wants that assignment defensively. I've noticed in the last couple of games he's kind of been guarding the best guys. So yeah, that'll be an interesting chess match to say the least. But you read my mind, man, with the 3-and-D. Like I was just looking at the sample size of the last 10 games for both teams, and Brampton's been second last in 3-point percentage, and Ottawa's been first. So that could really, really swing the game. And also in 3-point made, Brampton is second last, and Ottawa is third. And then just points being given up. Like Brampton's just given up so much points. Like it's weird. Matt, I know you probably noticed this as well, right? At the beginning of the season, we always talked about how Brampton was so good at points against, right? They were really, really good defensively. And that's 7-1 stretch. They were holding teams to like less than 90 points. And now they're at the bottom of the league where they're giving up the most points. So the defense for Brampton is going to be the biggest difference maker. And if they just catch Ottawa on a good night where they're not missing, like that's just going to be the difference between a victory and a loss.
Yeah, I'm actually just clipping this last 45 seconds here from Elias so I can send it to Serta as a game plan. I just wanted to make sure. My guess was actually that Brandon Moontu was going to get the defensive call there. But Elias, I like what you're saying about the Ikoy Uwat, like the length there, right? You put a stretch on him and it's a lot harder to work within that space when you've got
the 2 games in Ottawa, I think he did a good job, especially that last one where I'm like, man, Uwat's length is just, I think it's a problem for a lot of people in this league, but just the way he is able to stay in front of Smart, the way he's able to, they couldn't even get really a screen. They had to double screen one time where he curled Smart to get an open 3, but it's like putting your 2 big men right at the top of the 3-point line just to get your guy an open shot. Like Uwat does a great job of going over screens, staying above and grounded. Like he's a defensive like matchup nightmare, I think, for anyone. And I think the length is a big thing. Matt, I want to tell you this: how many like holy fudges or what the fudge or get the fudge out of here are we getting on Thursday, man?
I think
I'm gonna need to hear one at least.
Well, because the creator gives me permission to use it once, I will use it once. But I look at this almost, and I said this to Joe Razzo the other week. I almost look at it as like the Mike Breen bang thing. Like when you say bang, it's someone else's kind of thing, right? Like I don't want to.
I respect that. That's true.
And in this case, this bang is here, and then it's just like a couple, like maybe 1 or 2, and then you're just right there, right? So I'm like, I don't know if I want to. I'm like, I don't want to play your music and call it my tune, right? So that's where I'm. But I will
listen. I don't think the league making any bang T-shirts. All right, like they make T-shirts for this guy.
That's what I'm saying. I think he's like. That's why I think it's neck and neck up there with the 2. But I'll mix one in there for you. I'll mix one in there for you for sure at your request. We did this. We did this with, I believe, Joey when I was on with Joey's Winnipeg Target Score Winnipeg podcast, and we predicted the score of the game. I want to do this with the 2 of you guys because I think it's a fun way to kind of look back on and see how far D was or how far off D was because he can't count. But Elias, we'll start with you. How about a score? Who you think's going to win, and a score preview for this game Thursday?
Well, I'm from the 613. I have to stick with Ottawa here, of course.
Hot tip,
yeah, hot take there. But I think we're gonna get more of an offensive game, to be honest with you. So I'm gonna go.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I think guys are gonna hit shots. I think stops will be there when they need it, but I think early on we're gonna get, and that's what's gonna drive the score up. So I'm gonna say 97-92 Ottawa. I think it's gonna be close.
Okay, D.
You know what? Yeah, it's interesting. You said that, and it caught me off guard just based on the numbers. But then I just gave you the numbers for the last 10 games, and both these teams haven't played defense, so I don't know how much of that is really going to change. Now, I hate to be this guy, but like, you know, if East is not on this team, I think that really compromises with the game and the game plan. And, you know, we see a different version and maybe a different way for Serta to approach this game. But let's say both rosters are fully healthy. You know, no suspensions on at least the Brampton side. But I mean, I think we talked about it. Tigra and Roddy are kind of like the for sures if there are suspensions. And luckily for Brampton, it's not like a total blow for them. But I'm going to go somewhere like, if East is playing, I'm going to go 98-92 for Brampton.
Okay. So you're basically just
what about you, Matthew?
You're taking the same. No, I'm about to answer,
he added
but I need
one.
to clarify a few things before I answer. We did number one.
Hashtag do it for Bobby. I love
here.
it.
Yeah. Bobby wants to see a hashtag do it for Blackjack Bobby. Yesterday I said that Ottawa was going to win when we were doing our bracket for the general playoffs with you and Joey D. And then I get some messages just saying, well, what team do you cover? And are you doing the Ottawa games? I said, no, that's Holy Fudge that does the games. I don't do those
was in
games.
your DMs, eh?
No, I didn't. That wasn't him. But I got a couple messages. And then I said, you need to understand, if you watch the games, every time I say something's going to happen, the opposite happens, specifically on free throws. We had Trenton Flowers, who I think was 36 for 37 from the line the other day.
Oh yeah, that was hilarious.
In his season so far, he goes to the line. I go, wow, this is the guy you want at the line, 36 for 37. Then he misses both. And then right away, Joe says to me, you got to cut your mic when guys are at the free throw line. Don't say anything. So I should have cut my mic yesterday. I'm rolling with Brampton, and I'm going to go 95-89. That's going to be my 95-89 is going to be my my guess. So we've got Ottawa from Mr. Elias and Brampton for D and I. I think that's a safe bet. Joey's got the poll up here. Who comes out on top? Type 1 or 2 in the chat, Brampton or Ottawa. I feel like this could be a coin flip though. But nonetheless,
I'm curious what the people will say.
It's going to be an exciting game, nonetheless. I think this will be one of the games that if we have full rosters, I mean, regardless, it's still going to be a dogfight. 2 first-year head coaches going at it, a ton of new players for each team. And it should be a ton of fun. Elias, this was a ton of fun, my man. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate you previewing it.
Can I say one thing before we give him the boot? I just want, for the folks that are listening, I'll never forget one of my earliest interactions with Elias when I was like, you know, really starting to understand my role. And I'll never forget my first national game. I reached out to Elias, and Elias was like, yeah, I'll drop everything to have this conversation with you right now, and you know, tee you off and get you prepared for Ottawa. And you're such a stand-up guy, and you know, I hope a lot of people watch what you do, and even on a human level, you know, approach the game and have the, you know, you really do treat this very seriously, and the relationships you've established in order to be really good at your job is a you know, a testament to you know, how good you are at your job. So no, I'm glad that we finally had this conversation. It's been a long time, but thanks for being as passionate as you are about this league and holding it down in Ottawa.
Thanks, man. You're gonna make me cry. Real talk. You guys have been great. Honestly, I hit you guys up all the time too for, you know, prep. I've had chats with the both of you, and thanks, man. That's very kind. I appreciate those kind words. Actually, really means a lot.
It's
and I'd
fun
say best
when
of luck on Thursday, but I would not mean it.
Oh my gosh, it's fun when D makes you cry for the good reasons, not the bad reasons, right?
Sorry, I had to balance it out. It out.
Respect, bro. I like it. It's real.
Disrespectful.
Get them at their most vulnerable, you know?
Yeah. I'm here crying, shedding like tears of joy, and he's like, "Nah, man, you're going down." I was like, "Whoa, I thought we just connected here."
Oh man, Elias, thanks again for joining us
guys,
here. We
man.
appreciate you. This is Mr. Elias El-Zein. Enjoy the game on Thursday, and we will see you on Friday morning. Regardless, we'll talk to you.
Likewise, man. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, my guy.
Cool. Awesome. What a
salt
of the earth human being. What a nice guy, man. That was all we could have asked for there. Of course, Elias, the voice of the Ottawa BlackJacks, previewing that.
Tyler, why are you on my case, bro? What's going on here?
Can we throw this up
and get the boot?
Get
he
that
also,
up there.
he also said earlier, what did he say? He said something to the effect of, D, are you sleeping during the game? I'm just saying Matt's head's on a swivel during play-by-play. So like, I'm just worried about the neck tension and, you know, you losing your voice potentially if these guys are throwing it down, awesome dunk after awesome dunk. I'm watching. I'm just like, I don't have to do as much as you when those things are happening. All right, Tyler?
And you've also pulled out a new move this year that I've never seen done by anyone who does sideline. And we've had a number of people fill in when you're out watching movies, but you watch you
don't air my laundry out there.
You put the headphones in while you're watching the game to listen to the broadcast, which is like, I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, man, I mean, I think it's on mute. I don't think you listen to anything, but
I do it because you guys like it when I have to talk to a player, when I have to talk to a coach or whatever, I want, like, sometimes you guys pop up a question that I wasn't thinking about that you discussed, and I am able to, you know, vicariously ask those questions that you were pondering during the game as well, if that makes sense, right? Like, I think as a sideline reporter, it's important to follow the story that you guys are narrating and then follow up on that in the interviews as well. So that's why I'm like, yeah, if you talk to Evan, one of the guys that sets us up on the technical side, I'm like, hey, like I need the double buds because I need to hear my guys. Like if I have it in one ear, then it's like I'm like half listening if I've only got the 1 ear in, right? So I don't know if that makes any sense, but yeah, it's really important to me.
It doesn't. Never did, never will, probably never. I'll never try to understand it either. It just is what it is. I mean, I think you could just, I think next time you should just rest your head between Joe and I's shoulders during the game and just listen to what we're saying to each other back and forth here. You can, I got a shoulder you can lean on, D, if you really need it.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah. Any final thoughts heading into this game on Thursday? I think it's going to be a bomb game. We're again lucky enough to have Deshaun Stevens on the call with us too. He's been an absolute treat to listen to in Scarborough, and he's pumped up. He was messaging me earlier this morning about the stuff that happened last night in Scarborough, what it means for Brampton, this Ottawa team too. There's a lot of expectation and I think hype for this game, and I'm glad to be doing it with you two guys.
Yeah, I mean, I made the subtle jab last night, right? Thanks to Scarborough, I think we've become the game to watch because that game is a little compromised now with potential suspensions looming. So selfishly, I'm glad that folks will be tuning into that game, and we're gonna have a lot of fun. This is sadly our last game together, and what a joy and what a fun ride it's been. So looking forward to it. I'm excited about potentially going to practice tomorrow and seeing what that's looking like tomorrow. I know that's something that, we have scheduled for ourselves tomorrow. And yeah, it's in the poll. Was it Ottawa 1, Brampton 2, or was it the other way around?
It was Ottawa 2, I believe. Ottawa was 2.
So a lot of the folks that are in the chat right now think that Ottawa's going to win this. So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah. I mean, it would just be ironic as hell if the TSN deal announced. Yeah, so that was officially announced. We announced that yesterday on the live. If you were tuning in,
it was a slot bomb. That's what it was yesterday. We had that live, man.
It was a slot bomb.
Leaks through. Joey's sitting at home. He's like, I got the news, man. I need to tell someone. And he goes, "This is what we're talking about, transparency, right?" Joey's got all the news. You ever need backdoor CEBL news? Message Joey Slattery on Instagram. Go. You can get anything you want, man. You can ask him for more than just news too. You want anything you like? I'm not even talking about just CBL. I'm talking about life advice. I'm talking about everything you need. Good deals on it.
Or you can text them at 467-32. Yeah. No, I don't know what number is.
Just kidding. That's the downtown Earls number in or whatever it is, Cactus Club in Winnipeg. There, Joey's watering hole.
Yeah, I mean,
what fire on here.
What are your expectations out of the game on Thursday? Not the result, but just the game itself.
Yeah, I think I'm more curious about individual player performances. Like, I love watching Javonte Smart. I keep going back to this game every time they play Ottawa. I mentioned on the broadcast because I think it was one of the most captivating games and performances that I've seen in the Canadian League Basketball League in my 4 years here. The Javonte Smart game when he dropped 44 against Niagara, which remains the third highest point total. Yeah. You, Joe, and I, third highest point total in a single CEBL game, was the second until Teddy decided to drop 54 this year. Shout out Winnipeg. But that was a crazy game, and that's the kind of performance we get. Like, I don't think I've done a game where he's dropped less than like 27 points or something, which is exciting to watch. And then Isaiah Moore, like, you don't know what you're going to get from Isaiah Moore. As Elias said there, like, he's having his best year around the team this year, which we love to see because we need him on the floor and we want to watch him. But you just never know, right? Like, we also never would have predicted the other day at halftime against Scarborough that Sean East would have had 1 point and Trenton Flowers has 5 points. And I think this is the most predictable, unpredictable season yet, as weird as that may sound. Like, we know what these guys are capable of, but we just don't know what they're going to turn out. And you could also look at the Sean East and Trenton Flowers thing. Like, I crowned that the other day on the broadcast, probably too soon. But in my mind, I view that as one of the best stat backcourts in the Canadian Elite Basketball League, even though they've only played, what, 1 game or 2 games together. Like, that to me was nuts. But to see how they meshed well, and they didn't really do well in the first half there. Again, they had, what, 6 points between the two of them, and they ended up with 50 plus combined. I think Flowers had 30. So you don't really know what you're going to get. But to me, I think full potential. Like, I think those guys clicking in a game that matters more. And we heard Flowers talk about it on the podcast with us. We heard East talk about it when I chatted with him a week ago. Like, these guys are hungry. They're ready. They want to play together. They know what they're capable of. And in a game that means a little more rather than just a regular season game. I mean, the games they're playing and mean a lot to them. It's not like they're just going out there and shooting hoops for 40 minutes and then driving home and not thinking about what just happened. But this game now, with how much is on the line, and again, the window that you may have if Scarborough gets bumped out on the other side, your path becomes maybe.
Oh my God, that's so true. We didn't even talk about that.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's kind of where I look at, where I'm like, now there might be a little extra motivation here to kick things into a higher gear and kind of run with it, because you know that maybe on the other side, there's potential that the grass may be a little greener. Not to discount Niagara if they take down a depleted Scarborough team, but those hypotheticals have to run through your mind at some point. You got to find that inner motivation.
Yeah, it's funny because it's 2 teams at their best at some point in this season. We thought this version of these teams are our best chance at beating the Scarborough team, right? When Brampton started out 7-1, you and I were the head of that parade, and we're like, man, things are the grass is greener, the flowers are blooming. Again, no pun intended in the Flower City, but things were just like really, really good. And when they hit that wall, they hit it pretty hard, and it was hard for us to kind of see where this was going. When Ottawa beat Scarborough not once but twice, we're like, okay, this is the team. Okay, this is our best shot at upsetting the Scarborough team that's fully loaded. And now they're both in a position where if they can beat one another, then their path to the championship is not as hard as it once appeared prior to the antics and the theatrics that happened yesterday, right? So that's got to be certainly top of mind. It's, man, I'm like, I can't believe we have to sleep 2 nights to get to this game, because like Elias said, I wish this game was today. Like, I'm ready for it.
It's just crazy how much could change so quickly with this whole setup. Like, we could, again, as of now, 4:30 Eastern on August 4th, there are no updates.
We're like dragging this out to find the suspension news right now.
Yeah, like, I'm like just waiting. I'm like refreshing Twitter nonstop. I'm like, hey, anybody have anything? I'm messaging guys from the league. I'm like, anybody? And it's just pure crickets. But I think one of the exciting things is you really don't know what to expect. Like, as of in 30 minutes, we could see suspensions and maybe suspended for more than 1 game. Like, we referenced the Kyle Julius suspension with 3 games for a verbal thing. Well, what about a physical thing? Does that warrant the same length? Does it warrant a longer suspension? Are you done for the year kind of thing? Like, there's so much that could change, which makes it exciting. And that's where I am a little worried about these Ottawa, these Saskatoon, these kind of teams where they're raring to go, man. Like, these aren't teams that are just rolling over and happy to be in the playoffs, and they're just going to go out there and, oh yeah, we got to the playoffs. Like, Ottawa wants to win. Like, Missoula wants to win. Smart wants to win. Moore wants to win. Cleveland, Harmon, like, fudge. They're capable of kind of turning the tables at any time. And that's what makes this even more exciting. Like, we're not, the whole season, it was nobody wants to play Scarborough. Nobody wants to go against Powell, Mitchell, and Turk at the end of the season when Turk came back. But now it's like, I don't know if any team we're really going to shy away from Scarborough if they're shorthanded. So it's nice to kind of see the fact of the matter is now that there are not really there aren't really clear favorites now almost in the East. Like it's now turned into kind of an open season again, which we kind of saw last year a little bit. And it's been in the past too, like Niagara coming back last year and winning the conference, right? Like there are just so many unpredictable things I think that could happen here, which makes it must watch in my mind because you don't know what's going to happen.
Is there a chance that we might do 2 lives in one day? Like if this news breaks and it's like bombshelly, are we gonna react to it?
I'm just gonna.
Are you
leaving
we have the
this?
bandwidth for that?
Are you leaving it at some point? I was gonna stay in here all night. Will the league even announce it? Stat guy Ty. Will the league even announce it? Well, that's what we said yesterday. That was a whole. Oh, what was that?
Is that a breaking news glass shatter? Like Joey, do you have
that
something
sounded like
us?
fire? That sounded like someone on a bonfire. As if we need to shut off our heat and just survive on fire to cook our meals tonight because we're gonna be on here so long.
Listen, my wife hates me because of that 2-hour bender yesterday. I can't do that to her again today.
Don't look to your right. Don't look. There's no one there. You know there's no one there. You're home alone right now. I'm not gonna break into your house 2 in an hour. You have an idea. Your parents are over watching you, man. Matthew. Your parents are over there. You need a parent guardian at home at all times. But we know no one's on. This is your 10-minute period where you're allowed to be home alone.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that was awesome. Elias El-Zein, Waterman. Once again, thanks to him for joining us. Just an absolute treat. D and I are fired up for Thursday. That is a wrap on episode 13. Again, once again, this was a live episode, so you can always go back, watch it again. Special edition here of Target Score Brampton. Thank you to the founding father, Joey Slattery, for hanging out with us and popping in there for a total of 4 seconds. You can tune into the Eastern Conference on Thursday. CEBL Plus, CEBC Gem, and YouTube. E. Deshawn and myself on the call. Check out new episodes every Wednesday.
You said CBC Gem, TSN Plus, TSN Plus,
YouTube, and TSN Plus. We will see you